YouTube is changing, but not in the way you think. Everyone right now thinks that YouTube is shifting over to more raw and authentic content, but this is actually not the case. And I can prove it to you using historical data and show you the 10-year cyclical cycle of YouTube, which actually allows us to predict what content is going to perform this year, next year, and the year after that. So if you are either a big YouTuber or you're a business owner who relies on YouTube to get sales, this is a much more advanced video meant for bigger YouTubers and anyone who relies on YouTube for their business. And once you understand what I'm about to show you in this video, it will allow you to basically predict what's going to happen in the market in the future, front run those trends, and get way more traction on your videos. And if you give me the next 10 to 15 minutes, I will give you a gigantic competitive advantage on YouTube that you can use to either blow up your channel or blow up your business. So let's dive in. So the first thing that we have to do is understand the cyclical nature of YouTube. Now, YouTube was launched in 2005, and between 2005 to 2012, there really wasn't that much going on. It was just random videos. Stuff like this, Lonely Girl 15's new video. It was In the Zoo, Me at the Zoo. That was the first YouTube video ever posted on the platform. And then videos like this, like How Hot Can It Get? Just random videos that didn't really have anything, right? There's no trend there. There's just random videos being posted, right? Because no one really knew what YouTube was. It was a completely new platform that people weren't used to yet. Then in 2011 is when we actually started seeing real trends emerge on YouTube. And this first trend, you'll kind of be surprised because it's very similar to what's happening today, is authenticity. Now, authenticity content became very popular in 2011 with the rise of Jenna Marbles. You know, she's literally like crying on screen. That is extremely real, like, right? She's being very real. Same thing with like Equals3. It's just very raw content. Niga Higa, Shane Dawson, all of these people were huge back in the day. And the reason why they were huge was because simply they were very authentic and people loved that connection because it was so different than TV. TV was extremely polished. There was producers, everything was faked, where YouTube was real. It was just one-on-one connection. And that's what YouTube's all about. It's just that connection with another person. The fact that anyone can sit down, turn on their camera, and post the video. So people really love connecting with people like this. That was a huge trend in 2011. It was the first time we actually started to see trends. But then what happened is in 2012 to 2014, things kind of evolved. And they evolved into sketch comedy. You might remember some of these channels. For example, Smosh, if you've been on YouTube for a while. Smosh was a huge one with sketch comedy. And this was a gigantic trend in the YouTube space. Good Mythical Morning, really good. I used to watch them every single day growing up. And same thing with epic rap battles, like getting home from school, turning this on, just hit different, you know? And this was a gigantic trend. Annoying Orange, Epic Mealtime. All of these channels were sketch comedy channels. And these became the absolute biggest channels on the entire platform. Now, this is actually extremely important for you today, especially if you have a business or you're a YouTuber trying to really grow your channel, because this tells us exactly what is going to happen. And I'll explain that in a second. But sketch comedy was 2012 to 2014. From there, we went into 2014 to 2016. And this is high quality content, higher barrier to entry. This is people like Rocket Jump. These people who really produced their videos. Video Game High School. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but that was a very good show, right? Like it was literally a full, pretty much TV show. And basically independent amateur productions, but still very high quality, like Rocket Jump. Extreme animations. I'll have my editor put up some clips right now on screen. Extreme animations, very high effort, right? Extremely high quality. If you missed the video, you felt bad because these people put so much time and effort into their content that you didn't want to miss anything. You really didn't, like back in the day. The reason why this beat out the sketch comedy people was because it was a much higher barrier to entry, meaning that not everyone could make this content. So it was very special and there was a huge market demand and there was a big market inefficiency where there was a ton of demand for this, but such low supply because the barrier to entry was so high. That's why these people blew up. From 2014 to 2016, that was that. Now we go on to 2016 to 2020. And by the way, I got this entire timeline from my good friend Vexian. Guy is an absolute killer. He's a really talented strategist, so I want to thank him for that. 2016 to 2020 is essentially when we see some authenticity coming back. And this is somewhat seeing authenticity come back. Not all the way, but a little bit. And this is when we saw the rise of vlogs. Now, vlogs are an extremely important part of YouTube because what that did is it actually combined high quality and authenticity. We somewhat see authenticity come back. And now instead of sitting in front of a camera, you take it with you while you do things. And this gave rise to people like Casey Neistat, which brought a lot of people on YouTube. This gave rise to Roman Atwood, all of these channels. And the reason why older authenticity creators didn't come back is because they were aged by 6 years. They can't really relate to that same audience anymore. So new people had to step in. And this is very similar to what we're seeing today. After that, from 2016 to 2020, authenticity comes back a little bit, but we see the rise of vlogs. And then we we go on to 2020 to 2022. So now we're getting recent. Now we're getting closer to what this means for you. So this is the time when MrBeast absolutely blew up. Hundreds of millions of views and a load of competitors who decided to copy him. We have people like Matthew B. We have people like ZHC. All of these people made very, very similar content to MrBeast. And if you look at their channels today, you can still see that. And we saw so many copycats. Literally, he's using MrBeast in his thumbnail, right? There's exactly almost the same videos, except it's just a different person, right? And so many people copied MrBeast just because there was so much opportunity for this MrBeastification content. So now this is a lot more on kids content, people with shorter attention spans and fast cuts. And the people who caught onto this trend early, this MrBeastification trend, made a lot of money. But then what happened after that is that people started getting tired of the fast cuts. Everyone's dopamine was exhausted and people were like, I don't want this kind of content anymore. I want real raw content that I can actually watch. Like that's what I signed up for YouTube in the first place, which bring back storytelling. And this is something that we're still kind of seeing today. Essentially, we just have people telling more stories. Even MrBeast recognized this. You go to MrBeast's most recent videos and you'll see like this video, for example, lose 100 pounds, win $250,000. That video had such a beautiful story and it was a lot slower paced than MrBeast's old videos were. And as you can see, the length of his videos has also gotten longer. 36 minutes, 27 minutes, 25 minutes, 38 minutes. All of these videos, 34 minutes. These are much, much longer videos than he used to do 2 years ago, right? Where he would literally be doing 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, 16 minutes, 13 minutes, 16 minutes, 13 minutes, 9 minutes. There is a huge shift in his content and everyone's content towards storytelling. And what that means is a bit slower content, giving the actual videos time to breathe, because people are shifting away from that fast cut mentality and they don't just want dopamine anymore. They want real connection and real stories and to feel something. That was a huge trend. We have seen that kind of die off a little bit in 2024, but it still is in effect right now. And that brings us to today. What is working right now? We have authenticity. Authenticity has come back an insane amount. And what you'll notice is that actually this authenticity coincides about 13 years ago, roughly 10 years. And what we see is that give or take a few years, every cycle on YouTube repeats once every decade. That's not a perfect correlation by any means, but it is a pretty accurate cycle that we've looked at through a ton of data. What we can see here is that authenticity is coming back right now. Now, obviously it's not the same creators that were around 10 years ago, but it gave rise to new people. People like William Brown, who you might be familiar with. People like Charlie Morgan. All of those guys shifted their content from high quality. Like Charlie Morgan used to have extremely highly edited content. If we go back to about a year ago, boom, you can see it's all not the raw stuff that he's posting today. And sure, it does better now. It actually used to get maybe like 1,000 views, 2,000 views. He wasn't actually getting like 10K views a video. Compared to his recent content, as soon as he shifted to the raw, he caught onto this trend and he saw this. And this is the same exact thing that we're doing with our clients right now with the new trend that I'm going to tell you about. And we're shifting everything over to that trend early because it's a huge opportunity and there's a huge market gap, which leads to some of our clients like Daryl getting 100,000 views on his first video, closing over $20,000 in revenue. This is an example of authenticity, much more raw on the whiteboard, stuff like that. Same thing. And you can see he's pretty much done this throughout the entire year, right? Because it's still working. Now we've already seen this kind of content start to die off a little bit, but it's still working and it is still working. And I think it will work until around 2026. I think after that, it's going to just be too saturated and it's just not going to work very well. Authenticity, it's working right now. I would recommend making some authentic videos, testing it out on your channel, but it's going to stop working. And now is where we get into the actual interesting part of this video, which is what's next and what is the huge market inefficiency right now. Because if we look at the market looks roughly like this. We have demand, which is very high for authentic content, right? So demand for authentic content, and let's go to supply. And then we have also just time, right? So we have time as well. So if we look at this graph, what we can see is that if supply is low, the graph starts up here, supply is low, demand is very high. That means the amount of views, and this is the amount of views that you have right here, is going to be high. That's going to be very high at this point. But as supply increases, the amount of views drop, right? So maybe you're over here now in views as supply increases. And eventually there's a huge correlation with how many people are making videos and the actual amount of views that you're going to get on your videos. So let's say that this is like 100 views and this is 1 million views. As supply increases, as time goes on, there is going to be more and more competition leading to you getting much lower views on your content, especially if you're doing raw content, which you want to ride this wave until it's around here, which is kind kind of today, like actually today's probably more like down here on this raw style of content. And then you want to shift to a new style of content, and that is high quality. What we started seeing working in 2025 to 2027 is high quality content. So this came around this year. It is going to work for the next 2 years. I can almost guarantee that, and it's going to work very, very well. Right now, the people who are really, really crushing this are people like Daniel Dalen. He is going back into storytelling, kind of combining these two, storytelling plus authenticity plus high quality. That is an extremely powerful combination because it's using pretty much everything: storytelling, authenticity, and high quality. That's working right now. It's a combination, which is why he was able to go from 0 to 100,000 subs in such a short time. Same thing with Jeremy Haynes. Jeremy Haynes has taken that raw style of content that everybody else is doing and made it more high quality. So if you're not familiar with him, I will show you his channel. But basically, he has taken this raw style of content that doesn't have much editing, right? He's just working on an iPad. He's added editing to it. He has an extremely high quality set, but he keeps it raw. He keeps it real. He doesn't have a script, and he just overall makes the content feel very raw and connected to the viewer. It's also high quality, right? And I think that's what we're going to shift over to in the next few years. And this is kind of like authentic plus raw. It's kind of a new style of content that's a combination of some of the things that were around 10 years ago. So again, that cyclical nature, which I think if you did this content right now, it's going to crush. But the next type of content, I think there's an extreme opportunity for right now. And I'm going to break that down because I think that's where, if you're a business owner right now, you are going to absolutely crush it. And there's a huge market demand for this kind of content. And that is comedy. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm doing business videos. How can I be funny? Well, think about people like Alex Becker. Back in the day, he was hilarious. He was so funny, and it allowed him to blow up on social media. I think that we're about to see a huge comeback towards that. Think about TJR. TJR is absolutely blowing up right now because he's funny. He's simply funny. And right now, the amount of time that this trend has been in effect is about here. So the demand is so high and the supply is so low. If you make this kind of content right now, I can guarantee almost for a fact, as long as you're actually funny, it will blow up. And if you compete with these guys, if you compete with TJR, I think Alex Becker is going to make a huge comeback over the next year or two. You are going to blow up and you're going to get hundreds of thousands of views on your videos, which can lead to hundreds of sales in your business. And this really comes down to that cyclical nature, right? We were able to predict this because we saw about 10 years ago, this comedy cycle was right after the authentic cycle. Sketch comedy came right after authenticity. And what that means is that the people who are funny in their videos over the next few years are going to be the ones who really blow up. After that, it'll shift. After 2028, 2029, it'll shift back and there'll be a new type of content. That's 3 years from now. You can make a lot of money in 3 years. And if you want to make your content get a lot more traction, simply focus on comedy. I can almost guarantee you that is going to be the thing that separates the people who are just going to blow up. You can also see this with people like Brez Scales. Like, that's one of the reasons. The guy's just funny. Like, he's like day in the life of a balding, you know, like 20-year-old millionaire. Like, that's so good. It's so good. He's not trying to be like some crazy high quality guy. He's mixing authenticity with high quality vlogs with comedy. And the comedy part is the most important part of that because it is where there's a huge market inefficiency right now. And that's where you can stand out. And that's exactly what we're telling all of our clients to shift to right now, which has led to people getting payments like this, and many more. So if you want to make a ton of money from your YouTube channel, we have an end-to-end done for you offer where all you have to do is show up and record. We do all of the strategy, handle the entire backend, and even build out an entire content funnel for you to make millions of dollars from your business. Just like we did for people like Joel Kaplan, generating him over $600,000 a month from YouTube.
They $620,000. This is just on one of the businesses.
Chandler Sane, who we generated over $1.65 million for last year, and many other people like Eric, who we do over $100,000 a month on YouTube with.
My story video, I've made multiple six figures off that one video itself, and that's at like about 12K views now.
So if you are a coach, consultant, agency owner, and you want to close more clients and make a lot more money on YouTube, go ahead and click the link below and I will see you on the call. And if you're not ready to book a call, no worries. I have an entirely free YouTube course that you can watch right here. It shows you everything, how to grow from 0 to 100,000 subscribers and monetize your channel. Thanks and have a good one, guys.